Hello and welcome to Cloud Learners Journey Part 10 of Azure Solutions Architect Real Exam Questions and Answers with Explanation. And you can also find reference links in the description. To become an Azure Solution Architect, you must pass AZ-104 and AZ-305 exam. You can also go to AZ-104 exam video series and links are available in the description. If you like the video, please like, share, comment and subscribe to Cloud Learners Journey channel to help you pass AZ-305 exam and become an Azure Solutions Architect. Question number 1. You have an Azure App Service web app that uses a system-assigned managed identity. You need to recommend a solution to store the settings of the web apps as secrets in an Azure Key Vault. The solution must meet the following requirement. First, minimize changes to the app code. Second requirement, use the principle of least privilege. What should you include in the recommendation? Answer area. For Key Vault integration method, options are Key Vault references in application settings, Key Vault references in app settings.json, Key Vault references in web.config, Key Vault SDK, and the correct option is Key Vault references in application settings. Key Vault references can be used as a value for application settings, allowing you to keep secrets in Key Vault instead of the site config. For second answer area, Key Vault permissions of the managed identity, and the options are keys get, keys list and get, secrets list and get, and the correct option is secrets get. In order to read secrets from Key Vault, you need to have a vault created and give your app permission to access it. Question number 2. You plan to deploy the backup policy shown in the following exhibit. As per the exhibit, backup scheduled frequency daily time 6 p.m. Retain instant recovery snapshot for 3 days. Retention range, retention of daily backup point at 6 p.m. for 90 days. Retention of weekly backup point on Sunday at 6 p.m. for 26 weeks. Retention of monthly backup point week based on first day of Sunday at 6 p.m. for 36 months. Use the drop-down menus to select the answer choice that completes each statement based on the information presented in the graphic. In the answer area, virtual machines that are backed up by using the policy can be recovered for up to a maximum of 36 months. 36 months is as per exhibit. Second answer area, the minimum recovery point objective for virtual machines that are backed up by using the policy is 1 day. The minimum RPO is 1 day or 24 hours. Next, question number 3. You need to design an Azure policy that will implement the following functionality. For new resources, assign tags and values that match the tags and value of the resource group to which the resources are deployed. For existing resources, identify whether the tags and values match the tags and values of the resource groups that contains the resources. For any non-compliant resources, trigger auto-generated remediation tasks to create missing tags and values. The solution must use the principle of least privilege. What should you include in the design? Answer area, Azure Policy effect to use modify. Modify is used to add, update or remove properties or tags on a subscription or resources during creation or update. A common example is updating tags on resources such as cost center. Second answer area, Azure Active Directory, object and role-based access control role to use for the remediation tasks. And the options are a managed identity with the contributor role, managed identity with the user access administrator role, a service principal with the contributor role, a service principal with the user access administrator role. And the correct option is a managed identity with the contributor role. The managed identity needs to be granted the appropriate roles required for remediating resources to grant the managed identity. Contributor can create and manage all types of Azure resources but cannot grant access to others. Next, question number 4. You need to recommend a solution to generate a monthly report of all the new Azure Resource Manager resource deployments in your Azure subscription. What should you include in the recommendation? Options are A. Azure Log Analytics, B. Azure Arc, C. Azure Analysis Services, D. Application Insights. And the correct option is A. Azure Log Analytics. Activity Log is a platform log in Azure that provides insight into subscription level events. Activity Log includes such information as when a resource is modified or when a virtual machine is started. Next, question number 5. You are planning an Azure IoT Hub solution that will include 50,000 IoT devices. Each device will stream data including temperature, device ID, and time data. Approximately 50,000 records will be written every second. The data will be visualized in near real time. You need to recommend a service to store and query the data. Which 2 services can you recommend? And the options are A. Azure Table Storage, B. Azure Event Grid, C. Azure Cosmos DB SQL API, D. Azure Time Series Insights. And the correct options are C. Azure Cosmos DB SQL API. The process data is stored in an analytical data store such as Azure Data Explorer, HBase, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Data Lake, or Blob Storage. And the second one is D. Azure Time Series Insights. Time Series Insights is a fully managed service for time series data. It accepts streaming data from either IoT hub or event hubs and displays the data in near real time. Next, question number 6. You have two on-premises Microsoft SQL Server 2017 instances that host an always-on availability group named AG1. AG1 contains a single database named DB1. You have an Azure subscription that contains a virtual machine named VM1. VM1 runs Linux and contains SQL Server 2019 instance. You need to migrate DB1 to VM1. The solution must minimize downtime on DB1. What should you do? Prepare for the migration by options are adding a secondary replica to AG1, creating an always-on availability group on VM1, upgrading the on-premises SQL Server instances. And the correct option is creating an always-on availability group on VM1. And perform the migration by using options, a distributed availability group, Azure Migrate, log shipping. Correct option is Azure Migrate. Azure Migrate provides a simplified migration, modernization, and optimization service for Azure. All pre-migration steps such as discovery, assessments, right sizing of on-premises resources are included for infrastructure data and applications. Next, question number 7. You have an Azure subscription that contains the resources shown in the following table. Columns: name, type, account kind, location. Storage 1 with type Azure Storage Account, kind Storage General Purpose V1 at East US location. Storage 2 with type Azure Storage Account with account kind Storage V2 General Purpose V2 East US location. Workspace 1 with type Azure Log Analytics Workspace, account kind not applicable at East US location. Workspace 2 type Azure Log Analytics Workspace, account kind not applicable at East US location. Hub 1 with type Azure Event Hub at East US location. You create an Azure SQL database named DB1 that is hosted in an East US Azure region. To DB1, you add a diagnostic settings named Settings1. Settings1 archive SQL insights to Storage1 and sends SQL insights to Workspace1. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. The answer area for the first statement, you can add a new diagnostic settings that archive SQL insights logs to Storage2, and the option is yes. Single diagnostic setting can define no more than one of each of the destination. If you want to send data to more than one of a particular destination type, then create multiple settings. Each resource can have up to 5 diagnostic settings. Second statement, you can add a new diagnostic settings that sends SQL insights logs to Workspace 2, and the option is yes. Third statement, you can add a new diagnostic settings that sends SQL insight logs to Hub1. Correct option is yes. Next, question number 8. You have SQL Server on an Azure virtual machine. The databases are written to nightly as part of the batch process. You need to recommend a disaster recovery solution for the data. The solution must meet the following requirements. First requirement, provide the ability to recover in the event of a regional outage. Second requirement, support a recovery time objective of 15 minutes. Third requirement, support a recovery point objective of 24 hours. Fourth requirement, support automated recovery. Fifth requirement, minimize costs. What should you include in the recommendation? The options are A. Azure Virtual Machine Availability Sets, B. Azure Disk Backup, C. An Always On Availability Group, D. Azure Site Recovery. And the correct option is Azure Site Recovery. The reason is replication with Azure Site Recovery. RTO is typically less than 15 minutes. RPO 1 hour for application consistency and 5 minutes for crash consistency. Next, question number 9. You are designing an application that will aggregate contents for users. You need to recommend a database solution for the application. The solution must meet the following requirements. First requirement, support SQL commands. Second requirement, support multi-master writes. Third requirement, guarantee low latency read operations. What should you include in the recommendations? And the options are Azure Cosmos DB SQL API, B. Azure SQL database that use active geo-replication, C. Azure SQL database hyperscale, D. Azure database for PostgreSQL. And the correct option is Azure Cosmos DB SQL API. With Cosmos DB multi-master writes replication protocol, every region supports both read and writes. Multi-region writes capability also enables unlimited elastic writes and read scalability, 99.999% read and write availability all around the world. Next, question number 10. You store web access logs data in Azure Blob Storage. You plan to generate monthly reports from the access logs. You need to recommend an automated process to upload the data to Azure SQL database every month. What should you include in the recommendation? Options are A. Microsoft SQL Server Migration Assistant, B. Data Migration Assistant, C. AZ Copy, D. Azure Data Factory. And the correct option is D. Azure Data Factory. You can create data factory pipelines that copies data from Azure Blob Storage to Azure SQL database. The configuration pattern applies to copying from a file-based data store to a relational data store. Thank you for watching part 10 of Azure Solutions Architect Real Exam Questions and Answers. We hope you found it informative and helpful. If you liked the video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment to our channel for more related topics. We look forward to continuing the journey with you in next videos. Thank you.